Ladies and gentlemen, we are here and live once again for the ABJ podcast. Real quick before we start, I know people were like, "Oh wow, we were expecting episode 8 to be V Marino." He came down with a little bit of a cold, not feeling up to it today. We will reschedule and have him on very, very soon. So if you are excited for the V Marino, it is coming. But I have an interview right now, as well as later on tonight. So not only did I get one in, I got two. So we're going to be live later on again tonight at 8 o'clock for another interview that I'll talk about more towards the end. Just quick housekeeping stuff. If you want to support the channel, all links are below for myself as well as my guests, where you can support or follow us on social media. I'm not going to keep plugging all the other stuff because I feel like it's just a rambling thing of, hey, how can we make money? It's the ugly thing of podcasting, I guess. But if you're going to support financially uh, for the next couple weeks or the next couple months, if you can, um, subscribing to me helps me more than anything. But I have two friends right now in the independent wrestling scene who have just had some serious injuries. One of them has broken her collarbone and is going to be out for quite some time. And these independent wrestlers, not only do they work really hard to entertain us in the ring and chase their dreams of this professional wrestling business, but they also work legit jobs and they have to pay to get those jobs to pay their bills. And sometimes in professional wrestling, injuries happen, and it's not just a setback in wrestling; it could be a setback in their real life. So Adina Steele just recently injured herself. Freak accident. It was a simple thing that just kind of went weird. It's a collarbone, which is not very hard to break realistically. Her link is below. If you want to go support, she does have subscription services as well as pro wrestling tees, and you can order 8x10s off her. So if you can do that, that'd be amazing. Also, it's been working this whole year, if not probably longer, with a bum knee. Went and got it checked out, and found out this dude has been working on a torn, I think, ACL and MCL, and has not missed a beat. Just still working every weekend, busting his butt, but realized that he does need to get the surgery. He actually went in for surgery today. Surgery went great. Everything went good, smooth according to plan. The recovery process is now, so if you can hit up the links below for Philly Mike Swanson, that would be amazing. Just two really good people in the Northeast wrestling scene who are struggling right now with some injuries. And if any support we can give them, that would be amazing. Even if you just follow on social media, share their stuff out, maybe share their pages or ways that they make their money through subscription services or well as merchandise or 8x10s. It'd be a great pleasure. I mean, a great honor for me if you can do that as well as just help them out and get on their feet. Without further ado, though, I want to bring my guest in today. This one's going to be tough. There is going to be some kayfabe breaking here if he's willing to do so, because I've known this person a long time and they've taken a different step into their journey of entering this professional wrestling space. And I'm insanely proud of this kid. He's been working really hard. Without further ado, let me bring my guest in, and that's Precious.
Oh, oh, hello.
There he is.
Oh, this
There's Precious.
this is Precious. How's it going?
Oh my God. It's going to be very hard to call you Precious this whole podcast. I'm just going to tell you that.
Well, I'll stop you so that you don't even have to think about it. Because on the note of the injured, best wishes out to Adina Steele, but also to Philly Mike Swanson, who is responsible for this look.
Yes. The,
There
the
was
the look of Precious was a Philly Mike gear, and he brought it and gave it to the sanctuary. Austin seen it and asked if he can use it, and Philly Mike said yes. So he's kind of passed the torch of the look of Precious, which is kind of dope.
yeah, and I remember that training day vividly. Walking in, John Schultz, J.S. Hawthorne was there, and I was the second person after him. And he said, "You need to try this on right now." I was like, "Okay." And then send the picture into the sanctuary group chat, and from there, I've kind of worn it every day since.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's awesome when wrestlers help each other with the small things like that. I've seen Mike wear Riley's gear, which is hilarious. So gear getting swapped, and I believe there's a pair of traveling tights that get passed around from wrestler to wrestler to wrestler from the dungeon crew. Um, So it's a lot of fun. But we do have some people in the chat. If you are listening to the audio side of this, you're gonna be like, what are you talking about with the chat? We are also live on YouTube. So if it is your first time here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. I didn't do this in the beginning because I was too busy putting over my injured friends who need the support. Also, leave a review. My Facebook page has a review tab that you can do some stuff there, as well as if you are on Spotify. I'm adding a new feature now where it's going to say, "What did you think of the episode?" You can leave a review on Spotify. I found a loophole to do it. You can also do it on Apple. And if you are listening to this and say if you listened to a past episode, there's a lot of people hitting 5-star on Apple, which is awesome. But write something. And every time you write something on a new episode, it counts as a new review, which helps boost the channel. So do that for me. That'd be great. And I'm going to start reading reviews, hopefully, if I get them on the beginning of every episode. Sorry, I had to get that out of the way. I forgot about it.
No, you're good.
But yes. So,
Well, I mean,
Precious,
the majority of what you see Precious wearing has been handed down. Speaking of which, Vince Torres brand is the responsible for the singlets that I wear. The purple one was handed off from him to me, which I believe it's just there's like a timeline, a continuum of John Schultz to Vince Torres to me, to
Yeah.
where Vince and I have shared singlets.
Yeah. And the Converse kid in the chat, who could be responsible for intro music, hopefully one day for you as a wrestler.
Hey, I've contacted the Converse kid indirectly throughout the
He really wants music that he makes as intro music for a wrestler. So I'm just putting out if you're a wrestler and you need intro music, in my link tree is the Converse Kids links. Contact that kid. He's the intro music to my stuff, and we have some side intro music that you're going to be hearing soon that he also made for me. So there's actually more stuff that you're going to see for the other channels I make. So more to come, and it's all powered by the Converse Kid. So make sure you hit him up for wrestling intro music. The kid can play pretty much any instrument you hand him. And if he can't play it, he has a wide range of friends and talented family members who can help him, and they'll put together some really fire music for you.
Yeah, not even just wrestling. Like if you need music for anything, podcast, music, whatever you need to do, Converse kid, hit him up.
And his rates are great. He'll hook you up. Yes. So we have known each other quite some time. We're gonna dial it back. It feels weird about talking about our past because we you know what I mean, but we'll do it for the audience here. So your family used to own the greatest sandwich shop in Northeast Pennsylvania, which was Farlow's. Um, they've then since passed on it to new owners and they're no longer involved. But how I became to meet you and your family, me and my buddy Steve Fulton, back in the days when I was a groupie, roadie man, like I don't want to say manager, roadie, help, extra hand for the boys upstairs. I would pack a bag, I would leave my house a Thursday night and I would not come home until Sunday night and not see my wife ever. Um, and I would go and help this band travel, stay sober so they can party and do what they do and help set up equipment and break it down and load it in the van and unload it in the van. Which realistically for my body was a terrible move. But we used to, on Thursday night, we would go and drink and party and then wake up Friday morning and go get subs from Farlow's and then come back to the house and watch pro wrestling. And we would do this for a while. So we were super hungover. We walk uptown to Farlow's. Normally on the walk up too, we'd stop at the Salvation Army, and I would buy an old man suit jacket just to have it, and then walk into Farlow's looking like a weirdo. So the one day, your parents were like, "You guys are here every Friday. What's this routine?" I said, "Oh, we get the food and we sober up so we can drink again later on tonight, and we go back to the house and watch wrestling." And as soon as I didn't even finish wrestling, as soon as I got your dad's ears just like a prairie dog behind the counter just popped up, and he's like, "You like pro wrestling?" And the love of, and then your mom was like, "Oh, pro wrestling, like we're a bigger pro wrestling fan," and the immediate love connection started between myself and your parents, and then they invited us over to watch wrestling at their house, and then I met you, and it's been off and running ever since. So our bond, our friendship, everything about us has started because of professional wrestling.
I have I have so much to thank professional wrestling for. It's the reason for my real name, Austin. Uh,
Mhm.
that doesn't happen without Stone Cold Steve Austin or the Bionic Man, Steve Austin, the six
Yeah.
billion dollar
Your
man.
dad is in there too, which I love.
Yeah. But then for those who like know me like pretty well, I don't watch a whole lot of TV, movies, even sports. Like I watch sports. I'm a big hockey fan, but I predominantly watch professional wrestling, whether it's sports entertainment, whether it's stunt fighting, whatever you want to call it. I watch all forms of it. And now I've gotten to a point, and I just posted this recently about I just got to do a collegiate study on professional wrestling. Like, this isn't going to mean a whole lot to a whole lot of people, but it means so much to me that the thing that I wake up every morning and think about is professional wrestling every day. Pretty much since I've been conscious, it's been professional wrestling. And the fact that I got to study it through like an actual academic source and write a 23-page paper on how social constructionism applies to CM Punk and MJF, and it's just really crazy. And I've also gotten so many friends and have some of my closest friends because of professional wrestling. And obviously, you and I have now been friends for like the last 3 years or
Mhm.
so. I really,
It feels way longer.
we've done so much in that short amount of time, and I think
Yeah.
that's why. Like, not too many friendships start off just like that actively from the jump.
Mhm. I just walked in your house one day, and I was like, "I'm here to watch wrestling." You're like, "Who's this guy?" And then we were just like, "You know what? He's a wrestling fan. We're good." You know?
And that's always been the mindset
Oh
of
my
my
you know what I just remembered? The first time I ever came to your house to watch wrestling too is the night it was supposed to be me and Steve.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Steve got into a bar fight. Well, his brother got into a bar fight, and then him and his brother got into a fight at his house, and there was blood. Like, it wasn't, like, bad. They were wrestling, and then it turned into, like, a little bit of shot here and there, and one of them got their nose hit and just opened up everywhere, and I was just like, "I'm out of here. I'm sick of this. I don't wanna deal with it. I'm going to this house to watch wrestling, and I'm going without you." So I showed up just flustered, and then, like, Steve just shows up. I think still had blood on him and just came, was like, "I'm here to watch wrestling," and I just like, "You ruined everything, Steve.
He
You're an
showed
idiot."
up like an hour or 2 into the show, like deep
Yeah.
into the show. We had already eaten and he ordered Domino's. I think he ordered like 3 pizzas. I
Oh,
don't remember
that's
what he
drunk
ordered.
Steve. He orders way too much food, and he always orders Domino's, yes.
This is why we choose apple juice over alcohol. Because apple juice isn't gonna leave you forgetting things the next day or even in the moment, maybe leading you to a fight. I can't say that because I chose apple juice over beer and it led to me getting my butt kicked.
Yeah. Well, the beer was probably on the other side, so,
Yeah.
yeah. But listen, apple juice is fine, but it's not as fun as beer. So, yeah, so our bond started through that, and, it materialized into me I mean, you were kind of around actually longer than 3 years. It's probably long because 'cause you've been around before I even started the podcast.
It's
And the
probably
po
like
and
2018.
And the podcast started it would have been the 4th year. This is my 4th year going into it now.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah. So you've watched the creation of me as a content creator and as a podcaster, and you have jumped in on, I would say, almost everything I've done so far. Banging Beers, did
I
we
think the only one I don't think I did, Truth Behind the Illusion.
our interviews with everyday people.
No, I did interviews with everyday people
Did
under
you?
Bacon Boy as
You
No
did.
Races.
You
That
did. Yes, you did.
not being in high school, I don't know if I was a part of.
Yeah. And then also you used to participate on Tornado Tag, which a lot of people are still mourning the loss of that episode of that content. But we are still doing Tornado Tag style ish content here, where we just talk about wrestling
There you go.
with not just even interviews, where me and Brian and if whoever else wants to join us. I think you're going to be seeing some Philly Mike soon,
Nice.
where we just remote and maybe watch an episode of something and talk about it, or we talk about what's current in wrestling, or we just talk in general. So.
I'd like
Um,
to be involved in one of those, and it's wrestling that I never really hear Brian talk about that I got influenced because of my dad.
yeah,
World Class Championship Wrestling, WCCW.
yeah.
There's a lot of Von Erichs and Freebirds, which I have been watching the first 2 seasons of that, like, episodically. I would love to hear Brian's thoughts on it, feeling Mike's thoughts on it, 'cause and there's a lot of people that I'd like to watch that kind of wrestling with.
Yeah, so what we try to do is we have people like vote and pick something for us to watch, and then we all go watch it, and then we talk about it the next week. Or we do history stuff of like maybe the history of the Von Erichs comes up because the movie's coming out soon.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so we do still do wrestling content that's not interviews only. But yeah, so yeah, we've known each other for a minute, and then as of this year, probably what early this year, you kind of said, I'm going to dive my feet into training in professional wrestling, and I kind of told you if you're going to do that, there's a place for you to go, and also you have become friends with somebody else in the business who also told you to go to the same place I told you to go to. Walk us through that story.
So my best friend, pretty much throughout my entire life, pretty much since like I was really starting to get into social circles, came through baseball and through marching band, and that's Jake Chernitza. Jake and I have been best friends for real for enough years to where we know each other like the back of each other's hands. And he was fraternity president at the college that he went to, and ended up running into crossing paths with MIT, Mr. Intellectual Tavius. So I got
Which by the way, holy shit, is that
whoa,
is that guy a gem?
generational talent right there, and it's not just because he's a generational talent. He backs it up.
He just had a match at Smashmaster that will be airing very, very soon, against Ricky Price, who is one
No
of those
good,
other guys.
no
Another
good
guy, I'll
price.
give him his roses real quick, but he's another one who's insanely talented. They're both him, MIT, and Ricky Price. I think both of them are less than 50 matches each into their careers, and stole the show on a card that was jam packed full of some really big talent in the area. So huge shout out to MIT and Ricky Price. I still hate you.
So yeah, so Ternitza actually made gear, not like tights, but he made a hoodie and a T-shirt for MIT and developed his brand. And I'm pretty sure MIT wears that hoodie to most of his shows, if not during his
Hmm.
entrance, if he's not wearing the jacket.
Yeah.
Uh, so one day, Ternitza had messaged me, and he was like, "Yo, if you're ever like really serious and really want to do this, message me. Like, let me know if you really want to do this, because I'll hit up MIT right away." About I think I was at his house, and then I left, and there was a pay-per-view. It was a Sunday, because I remember this clear as day. And I messaged Jake, and I was like, "Yep, I want to do this." So message him immediately. Within a couple hours, I ended up adding MIT on Snapchat, got in contact with him, talked to him on the phone. He then sent messages to Schultz and to John Trotsky, and pretty much said, "Hey, this guy is someone that I know," and cleared the ways for me. And that same night, I was added to the group chat.
So the beautiful thing about you entering the sanctuary is,
Well, there's a lot.
for me, I will just say for me, looking at the outside perspective of pretty much watching my little brother getting to wrestling. You know what I mean? I do consider you like a little brother. You know what I mean? Um, their safety is above and first and foremost, which is amazing. There are some wrestling schools that are going to do the old school carny where we're going to chop you 500 times and we're going to make you do stupid shit and you're going to do things that aren't really necessary in the world of professional wrestling anymore. Where the sanctuary kind of cuts out that bullshit and change and teaches you what you need to know to become better. And not only that, it's a place where a lot of people from other schools that are just as talented as the sanctuary come in, and it's just a melting pot of people to learn and grow. Now, I do know the sanctuary does have a little bit of a black eye because of the way they do things. They are a shoot studio. Don't be mad because someone beat the system. That's all there is to it. Just is,
Ha!
it is what it is. What it is. But and Trotsky has a history of rubbing people the wrong way, but he's good at what he does. He's a good trainer. He knows the business. And the biggest thing that you're going to learn there is character development. And I think that's where you are going to shine higher than most. You know what I mean? Like I think your in ring is good, but I think your selling and your character is what's going to make you excel. And that right there alone is just a match made in heaven for a sanctuary kid.
See, this I'm so glad you brought all of this up. Uh, That was kind of the first thing I was debriefed on when it came to figuring out what the Sanctuary was. I was pretty much sent like a bunch of their stuff. I forget how, but I started to watch and I started to see like drag shows and musicals, and a lot of my background is in theater, stage crew,
And there was
marching.
a really cool guy doing commentary there for a while too. That
Oh
helped.
yeah, being in marching band, so I was familiar with doing performance. But I don't think people really know what they're gonna get when it comes to the athlete side of Precious, the actual wrestling side of Precious. Like I said earlier, I pretty much eat, sleep, breathe professional wrestling, but there's been a lot of other work that I've been doing where I've been doing a whole lot of research on not just professional wrestling, not just American professional wrestling, but like there's a lot of mixed martial arts training that I've been watching and that I've been applying at the sanctuary safely. And I know Brian said it on commentary during Night of Survival about how, oh, wouldn't it be something if Precious got a submission victory? I think that's going to be more common than people are anticipating.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Um, Converse Kid says, I like how Sanctuary doesn't exactly do squash matches. They do, but even in a squash match, because you're looking at someone who's been in quite a few of them so far, they still get over a character and a story.
Yeah, and yeah, I've been physically squashed by a Stunosaurus. Did a
Yeah.
splash off a second rope. Where else are you going to find that?
Yeah. Where else are you going to watch someone get beat up by a dinosaur?
Or be abused by a, a blue collar brawler?
Or
Uh,
get literally put your head in between two Rock'em Sock'em robots and get beat up by them.
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
Sanctuary is beautiful.
but
And the names that have come out of that place. I mean, there's a lot like one half of your tag team AEW tag team champions came out of there. Britt Baker has come out of there. Now when I say come out of there, I'm not saying trained. I'm just saying they've had a time where they've worked in that building and because a lot of people from all over the Northeast coast and some in the Midwest have come through the sanctuary just to get a couple reps in, get some footage, get some work. It's been around a long time, and there's a lot of prestige to it. And when people work there, they definitely remember it because it's a converted church with beautiful lights and a really, really big padded ring, and it leaves a mark in you. And the biggest thing for me is I feel like when I say us as a family of the sanctuary when it comes to the people who take pride in that place. The endings show, and I listen, Ace Austin helps put people in seats, but we were slowly building every week and getting more and more and more. And I will give Ace his due for bringing some people, but I think a lot of people came to support people like you and Vinny and other people to be like, "Hey, this is the end of this season. Let's go see the culmination of it." And if we keep carrying that momentum, that's going to be a place to be next season.
I think what helped a lot with that were the first Friday events, the community events that were free, and just getting people to stop by. When we had those opportunities on First Friday, we didn't look at them as just, oh, this is a non-canon show where we could just have some fun, experiment things. No, we look at those as, at least I look at those as a precious opportunity to show people this is what we got. This is the sanctuary. This is why you should show up to the sanctuary. This is why you should support the talent that wrestle at the sanctuary.
I got some really interesting people coming into the sanctuary next season. I have to sit down with Trotsky because I have a handful of people who I've been plugging the sanctuary to, and they want to work there. And when you talk about characters, characters.
Look, I know that's kind of been the strong suit of what I've presented so far at the sanctuary. So I look forward to being able to tell that story with different perspectives.
Uh, he picked up what you're putting down with precious opportunity. Torres puts the shocked face because I think he has run into some crazy characters as well.
Well,
Um,
I think that was actually he knows what I'm talking about when I'm saying that I'm not just a character. I'm not just a mic piece. He has been the firsthand recipient of the athlete that Precious is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the honor society, Zach Sander, Vinny Torres, and Crispy, we all the reason, and this hasn't been able to been said clearly, even when Zach had the opportunity on commentary during uh, Ruler of the Ring. What honor society is three students who immediately, when we had the opportunity to directly look up to the people before us, our predecessors in the J.S. Hawthorne, Andre Polino, Jordy Palco, they turned on us. That was the first thing that our teachers taught us was, now we got to band together. So us four, we every training we've gotten better. Every training we do more. We're doing drills in which we're thrusting up, snatching a 50-pound sandbag, squatting, dropping it down, doing a push-up, doing drop downs onto either side. Our cardio is getting improved. We all train with each other and with other opponents to where, hey, it's not just we truly are grateful for the opportunity that we have at the sanctuary, and to see it almost like directly spit in our face by our elders to an extent, that doesn't feel very honorable to what the sanctuary teaches us.
Yeah, though that scumbag on commentary who wouldn't call you by your names for a while. I don't know about him. You know.
Yeah, and the initial promo, the initial sequence, the battle royal in which we all formed together prior to going up and facing Andre Polino, none of that is heard unless you're listening through with headphones.
Yes. I will say too, even as like a creator this year, I've really dove into more of the heelish commentary, and I gotta say, I kind of dig it. But the problem is I'm a little too good at it. Where I have to like go to talent after the show and be like, "Hey, when you listen back, I don't actually dislike you. I just don't want to heat." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no,
or
you're
even
in
like,
it.
dude, even like ring announcers. The last show, I just like I picked a target and just picked on a ring announcer the whole time. And
Yeah,
after the show, I was like, "Hey, man, if you listen back, like I don't dislike you. I needed something to latch onto."
like
Um,
Lance.
yeah. Oh, I pick on Lance all the time. Like, I think going into next season of the Sanctuary, I think you're gonna get that full experience between me and BP Burke
Nice,
of heel and face. I think
nice.
I'm finding more of that comfort of really and like, listen, just because I'm heel doesn't mean I like all the heels either. I pick and choose who I like. I make my own rules as a heel. There's some heels I don't like, and there's some heels I do like. Um, and I can make a heel into a baby face or like that. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, so your stable this season was a very big thing for me as kind of dipping my toes into the heel commentary role and picking on people and making fun of them a little bit and having some fun on commentary. But also like because that's like a thing I have to like challenge as well and walk up to you guys after and be like, hey, you do know that I'm this is not, you know what I mean? Because that could be in this business is a lot of ego and some people get upset, you know what I mean? Like going up to Crispy and be like, "Yo, I'm going to go hard on you." But like use it to motivate yourself. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly, and that's I feel like there's uh Trotsky kind of explained it to where when you step into a wrestling ring, there is an unspoken consent of, hey, I'm in a wrestling ring. That means I might get wrestled on,
mhm,
or a wrestling move might happen to me, or I might do something because you have stepped in between those ropes. And it's the same thing of just kind of stepping into the world of professional wrestling. We're not all just trying to get ourselves over, but we're trying to tell a story, and we're trying to get people to react to that story and to get them emotionally invested in the things that we do that hurt our bodies. So, if we're able to do that by speaking, oh, we've already done half of the battle. We've already
mhm.
done the work there.
And it's very easy to then pick a fight with somebody and work on your promo skills if you're listening back and hating on the commentary guy. You know what I mean? Um, I think this year was a big year for professional wrestling when it comes to commentary because people like Pat McAfee, Michael Cole during the pandemic, him and Bailey had that feud. Like, I think it really let the commentary feel like they're part of the show more than just two guys like an NFL broadcast team where they just sit up in the skybox and they're not involved in the action. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also WWE specifically is difficult with that because for so long their commentary is almost a narrator,
Yeah.
where Jim Ross, and at least that's what I think too, is Jim Ross and the King, where they are just consistently telling you the story and consistently are adding to the story and are also responding to it as almost an unexposed perspective on what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, this is happening for the first time. So we have to explain this because it's an audience who might not have seen this before.
Hmm.
But now we're starting to see, hey, everyone's aware. It's like kayfabe, or everyone's aware of what's going on. These people are obviously a part of it. Why can't they be a part of it?
Yeah. Absolutely. So when you got into this, and you finally started making your first moves and your training and stuff, you actually kind of excelled a little bit. I would say quicker than most, by actually having opportunities of getting into some matches. Um, which I think is a credit to your training, is a credit to your hardware work ethic, as also a credit to the people who are training you, to give you that faith, because they're not going to just throw anybody into especially at the sanctuary, throw you in there. Now, listen, you didn't go in there and have a 30-minute Iron Man match. You had a couple squash matches, but the fact that they were comfortable enough to put you in between those ropes, what does it feel like, kayfabe aside, as someone who's a lifelong fan, to be like, hey, tonight you're putting gear on and you're going to go out in front of a crowd or in front of a camera and get your work in?
Yeah, kayfabe or not, it truly it truly is precious. It I've explained this throughout this entire session of how like wrestling really is the sole motivator in who I am. It's kind of the culmination of everything that I'm interested in. So to be a lifelong fan of professional wrestling, to have something that I cared about so much, and to be trusted like stupidly quick in my like perception on wrestling, it means the world. It honestly, and at no point did it get me to a point where it's like, oh, I'm good. Oh, I'm better. No, it was
Oh, because
immediate.
Shotzi will quickly put that in check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I told him from the jump how thankful I was that I was trusted in a situation like that. Especially my first match ever was against the Outcast, Jerry. Forget his last name. The Outcast.
I missed your first match. I was so bummed because you don't even know you're in it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Nope. Like my family didn't get to see it. Regardless, still happened. Uh, he hadn't, I don't think, ever stepped foot into the sanctuary prior to that night. So he and I met each. I was cleaning. I was vacuuming the like stairs that go up to the balcony. I came downstairs and Trotsky said, "Hey, we don't have a whole lot of people, so I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm trusting you in this spot. You two have a conversation, put together a 3-minute match. Let me know what you got, and then we'll see."
Yeah.
And we came up with something real simple. I don't know what happened to the YouTube video, but there's like 30 seconds to a minute of it that's not there. Like if you watch that match back, it cuts already in like a 1 minute match, like total. But yeah, the finish to the match was me going for a splash in the corner, and he rolls me up and hooks the tights. And he actually just messaged me in response to the promo video that I just tweeted and posted everywhere. Uh, he messaged me and he said, "Hey, we got to run this back." So
Yeah.
hopefully, I told him right away. I was like, "Look, Sanctuary currently is on break right now, but when we're back on, I will let Trotsky know that you have shown interest and would like to continue this story."
Yeah. And you had, besides the honor society and everything else that was going on at the sanctuary, which was a very heavy storied year. Um, I mean, every year at the sanctuary is story, but for me, I feel like I really attached myself to this season more than any season. Um, where I think it's because it was my first year with BP. It was my first year of where I kind of became the guy because Pete was no longer like there that season. And I kind of like took on that role. And Pete's not easy shoes to fill because he's so talented. Um, and just like even the sanctuary, like your opinion matters. Like Chauncey, like, what do you think of this? And like as a commentary guy, like he sits up in the booth and we talk while I'm on commentary. Like I have to mute my mic and me and him are talking the whole time or critiquing matches. And Dude, that's so invaluable to even me as a commentator to know what I'm seeing. Just the value you get in that place is just we could be here for 8 days talking about just that in general. Um, but
And you
like,
have a different perspective on that. You
yeah,
have been other places. I
hmm
really haven't, but I'd like to think I have a general like common sense on on people and how things should or should not
you
go.
think that until you walk into a situation like what Twilight Zone episode am I in? Because
Yeah.
some places get wonky. So yeah, so for you this season, it was the kid who came out had a match, then it was the kid who got squashed, then the kid who got squashed. I think for the most part, you didn't really even get a second of offense in besides your opening match that a lot of people didn't see. But in canon, you didn't get a second of offense in until the season finale during the big battle royal spot, and you got an elimination, and you were able to showcase a little bit of what we might see next season with Precious. So your even your story as a character developed all season long to next season being like, well, what's Precious gonna do? Because by the end of the season, the entire sanctuary was chanting your name. Like you got over as a character.
So really, there's so much there that is so crazy to me. Um, the fact that honor society happened at all was a conversation that happened amongst the four of us in a group chat, and I sat at Ternitza's backyard and I talked to him, and we were texting. Like me and him were talking, and then I was texting the group chat, and we pretty much like came up with an idea in Jake's backyard slash through the phone. And
Mhm,
that next training session, the four of us, we looked right at Trotsky and we're like, hey, we have something. We have something that we think could do something that makes sense going forward. And then Trotsky, like, he gave us some shit here and there throughout it, but then at every step of what we were doing, the formation of it, he gave us like awesome feedback on what to do, like going through the middle rope instead of going over the top rope.
mhm.
But yeah, I could not ask for a better introduction into professional wrestling's story for me. It starts with me being like you said, "Oh, the kid who finally got a wrestling match," and just being this like lovable like dork and who's always trying his best, who's clearly cares about like the crowd and what's going on. Yeah, I start by losing all of my matches. I think I had the record. It was like 5 and 1 because of the no contest of us walking out of the ring. There was a couple other things where I was supposed to get an elimination in the Stampede, and that didn't happen. None of that mattered though. The entire time, I was having
Mhm.
so much freaking fun the entire time. And even like the training every day was fun. So continuously telling that story of me just kind of having fun and getting to see how Precious is going to react or enact in different scenarios was so much fun. And then it started with the Stonosaurus match, really, because Stonosaurus and I had a conversation, Daniel Marsh, of what we wanted to do, and then we were told that, all right, you guys are going to be the main event of the after party, and I was like, hell yeah, sure, let's go. And they weren't chanting for me, but to see how everyone reacted to the things that Stonosaurus did mattered more because that's what we're trying to showcase. We're trying to
But
showcase
your
that.
facial expressions and your cells made that in a moment.
And exactly, and to see that's where it started, to see how well that came off to an audience, that's where I was like, "All right." Not necessarily ego, but I got confidence in what I was doing was along the right thought process.
Mhm.
So then I get to a First Friday show, and John Schultz again is one of the first people I see, and he's like, "Honestly, we don't know what you're doing." And at this point, wherever I was in my journey, I was like pretty sure that I was going to get a match, that I was going to have an opportunity on a First Friday to showcase something of what I got. And I was told that they didn't have anything and that I would be most likely managing. I was like, all right, cool. Another opportunity for me to go out and be Precious and show the world or show Sanctuary what I got. And then Dorian gets there, Travis Dorian. Trotsky calls me over and he just kind of looks at me He looks at Dorian and he's like, I don't know how you're going to get to it, but I need you, Dorian, to be stone cold, and I need you, me, Precious, to be Goldust, or not Stone Cold, Roddy Piper and Goldust. And we were like, okay. So then we're having a conversation about, all right, so what if you came to the ring and instead of asking for a wrestling match, you asked for a singing competition? And right there, and Trotsky suggested that. And right there, I was like, oh, okay, I know where I'm going with this. Because I've given public speeches, I know that you need like three kind of main points. And it's the same thing in professional wrestling. There's like a common theme of threes, whether it's strikes, reversals. Anyway, so Trotsky is like, all right, you guys have a conversation, figure it out. When you're done, come back and pitch me what you got. Maybe took like a minute, 2 minutes tops of Dorian and I talking and looking at each other, and got it immediately. Got the singing competition, cornhole, rock'em sock'em, got all of that right away. So then we're backstage. So we pitched that to Trotsky. Trotsky was cool with it. We then are backstage going over bit for bit what we're doing, how we're getting to things.
I love Travis because he brings me beer. Like legit shoot brings me beer on commentary.
And he got to the point where he's like,
I renamed his move this year.
the High Life.
Mm-hmm.
He
It
got
used to be called the 30 rack.
I like the champagne of finishers much better. That's
Sure.
that I can't say that kayfabe wise because Precious likes apple juice, but Precious
Yes.
after that match, Austin then had himself a Miller High Life 40 or two.
Yeah.
So we're backstage and we're going over. All right, he gets to a point where he's like, "I'm going to offer you a beer, and you're going to turn down the beer, and that's how we start fighting." And I said, "What if I instead of beer, what if I turned down and said apple juice instead?" And when I said apple juice, well, I didn't even say it like that. We were just in promo going over, and I hit him with that unexpectedly. And I don't know who else was back there, but they all started laughing. I was like, all right, we're doing that. And Dorian was like, you have to do that. Which then leads to me getting my butt kicked by Travis Dorian. And after I had taken two of his power moves, the crowd starts to rally by chanting apple juice. And that alone, like in the ring, I'm like, oh yeah, fighting spirit. Inside, oh man.
You want a crowd.
Juice is a name that has been with me like my entire life. Like I've been called Juice Box for a bunch of different reasons throughout my life. I've been called Juice for being like Jewish as well. So to hear an apple juice chant, something that I like, oh, man, it really like it's so
As a wrestling fan or Mark, you won over a crowd.
it's unbelievable. And that like that first Friday crowd, even I get out there and I was supposed to cut a promo before Dorian even came out and we went through those 3 steps. None of that was planned. I was like, "Oh, I forgot I had to cut a promo right now." And that's happened a couple times throughout the season where it's like yada yada yada, we got to make sure we get to here to here to here. And then I'm out there with a microphone and it's none of this is planned, but here we
Yeah.
go.
Now, growing up, I kind of know the answer to this, and I may be feeding you a little bit, but like you were the kid who sat in his bedroom and looked at himself in the mirror and did promos and practiced promos and did entrances. You know what I mean? Like that was you as a kid. Like you said, like lifelong wrestling fan. You were essentially mentally preparing yourself to be in a situation where, like, if someone handed you a mic, you can put something together because you've been practicing it so long.
There's so much that goes into it for real. I have been like wrestling my friends like Kyle Kemper, Colin Ebling. Those are two people that I was WWE style fighting when I was like 8, 7,
Yeah.
10
Don't
years.
try this at home, kids.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Also pool wrestling with anyone who was over, my dad as well, just all of that. And him being such like not a mark, but being so dedicated to
We're all
wrestling
marks.
and always cutting like the Ric Flair promos, the Dusty Rhodes promos.
Oh, your dad has a gift of gab as well.
Yeah, and it translated down, and then I got to the point where I'm so analytical. Like that is the background of me as like a student. I don't read a whole lot, but when I do read, when I do watch TV, I'm thinking a million different things about, oh, this lighting means this. Oh, them saying this means this and is going to lead to this. Um, so that's how like I have so much in this brain that is a database for any situation. And that's not just a testament to wrestling. That's a testament to like, even though I said I only really watch wrestling, I'm familiar with so many different realms of entertainment and just existence that I'm kind of ready for anything. But then like it really was natural. Like the first time I ever auditioned for anything in theater, like just kind of natural. I was able to pick it
Yeah.
up right away.
It's very interesting to see the parallels to the honor society, and I'm not doing this to be the heel guy, and I apologize because there is one odd man out here, and I'm sorry, Crispy, but if you look at the honor society, you have the Vincent Torres, who not only has like the Palco thing going on where he can kind of be the shoot fighter wrestler, but he also like mirrors a young John Trosky
Mhm.
in a certain way. Then you have you, who kind of is the parallel mirror of J.S. Hawthorne, and then you have Zack Zander, who's almost like the Andre Polino. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you guys, and like even Vince kind of has recently with like wearing the gloves and doing the death grips to people and grabbing like he's kind of pulling a little bit of that Palco and also
Billy Walker.
Billy Walker, and he's kind of like he's kind of absorbing everything he's been seeing as well. But it is really cool to see you guys develop as a team and as a character. And like I said, that last show at the Sanctuary, man, that was an emotional night. Like the fact that Trosky gave me a mic and let me talk to people afterwards, and
Yo,
he
yeah.
just seen how passionate I was about that moment and how the Sanctuary went down that night. Because I even said to him, I said I talked to him upstairs, and everything that I kind of said on that microphone is what I. And he was like, yeah, the sanctuary needs to hear this. And I was like, he kind of pulled everybody together, and we kind of had that moment afterwards where we cut that promo, and it was just like it was special. And I feel like we're going into the next season big, just better as a roster. You know what I mean? Like we're really setting a tone, and I was very proud to be a member of that roster after that night, and it was an honor. It was an honor to just be a part of this season and the past seasons. But I feel like we're building some cool momentum. So we are getting close to the end here. So if anyone has any questions in the chat, please get them ready and put them in there. Also, if this is your first time, once again, hit that subscribe and like. And if you are listening on an audio platform, hit a review. You can review. You can put reviews, anywhere. Just help us out with that. Um, we're getting close to 200 total plays on audio side of things. So up in the corner, up above Precious, you see Anchor, Spotify, Google, all those places you can find us, as well as social media. But when it comes to professional wrestling, who are some people you channel of what you've been watching on TV or growing up in? I know for me, we used to joke around because you used to have the undercut, and I'm like, you look like a little Pete Dunne. But dude, the more and more you've been, yeah, the more and more you've been developing yourself, and the more and more you been developing your character and working on your body and thinning out, dude. Like I see so much of a young Miz in you.
And I really do love The Miz because he's a guy who at every stage was, oh, he's the entertainment guy, and consistently throughout his career proved why he's not just the entertainment guy, why he's one of the most
Oh, it's
decorated.
not a bad thing to be a young Miz.
Yeah, yeah, oh my god, exactly.
You need to have the Miz mentality. You need to be like, you always have to prove people wrong and better them, and that's what
Yeah,
he's been doing his whole career.
yeah, and I'm prepared to. Well, I'll lead into it. Outwork everyone. Christian Cage. Christian is someone I've watched throughout my entire career. I've always loved Christian. Even to one of the few moves of offense that I did hit was the leg kick that him and Kofi Kingston do in the corner.
Mhm.
So he's up there. Um, I had a bunch in my head. What originally like started the idea for the Precious character was watching a lot of 70s wrestling. So I watched like a whole lot of Bob Backlund. So there's a lot of Bob Backlund influence into just applying holds and being mean with those holds. But then two guys that are like, actually it's the entire family are really where there's different parts of my persona there, and that's the Rhodes family. Dusty, Cody, and Goldust. There's so much between all three of them that I think I bring parts of all of what they do to the table.
Absolutely. What? Well, so before I get to my last question, let's get some here in the chat. We have Hunter Dillon said,
I
"What is
see.
your favorite part about working at the sanctuary?"
Oh, it's tough to just pick one because I love showing up there every day, whether it's a training, whether it's 2 trainings a week, or it's a show, depending on what the show is. There's nothing like feeling the energy at the sanctuary. I've been to a bunch of wrestling shows. I've been to independent wrestling shows. I've been to AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor Final Battle. Like, I've been to these shows. Nothing feels like the sanctuary. Nothing does. And it's not just from professional wrestling, it's just an overall environment that nothing feels like the sanctuary. And
I
I
would agree.
I genuinely have such a good time every time I'm there.
Yeah, I never leave there being like, man, I fucking is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Like every time you
Yeah.
leave, you're like, I feel better after leaving there.
Yeah, there's been days where
It's almost like that church feeling. Like I'm not a religious, spiritual, like Christian, but like how when you walk into a church, you're supposed to leave the church feeling like you're a better human. That's me at the sanctuary. Like,
yeah,
yeah. And then another one from Hunter here. A go-to question for me: if you can write yourself, your younger self a letter, what would it say?
I would say, dear baby Precious, younger Precious, first and foremost, keep smiling. Never stop smiling. Second, keep having faith in the things that you are doing because you are on the right path and you're going to get to where you want to be a lot sooner than I think you ever anticipated. Third, and probably the most important thing in this letter, have fun. Keep having fun. That's something I will tell to everyone. We have one opportunity in this life. You got to make the most of it. If you have the ability to do something, do it. Because you can't get to the end. You can't get to there's the hyphen between, for me, July 20th, 2000, and wherever. That hyphen is where we get to define who we are. We have the opportunity to do everything we want to. I know that there are a lot of things that can prevent or can make these journeys difficult, and I am biased towards myself, and I'm blind to things that have helped me maybe get to certain situations a little sooner than others. But there is no opportunity. There is no reason not to put your 100% into everything that you do because what you put in is what you get back, what you get
Absolutely.
out. And I
Mhm.
would finish it by saying, all the best, Precious.
Love that. I love that, man. Um, so my final one here is I know you're at a point where maybe you're not at the travel point yet, right? You can't really get outside that sanctuary and pick and choose who you want to work, where you want to work. You're still in those baby steps, which is there, and there's nothing wrong with that. Uh, but what is your future goals or plans for your career?
I got some main ones that are, I would say, are a little shorter term, and then I've got ones that are more long term. My direct goal is to be the best stunt fighter to have ever stepped foot in the sanctuary, to make the sanctuary not just by myself because I'm just one person, but to make the sanctuary the most must see independent wrestling platform, at least in the Northeast, in Pennsylvania, online in the world. I want to make the sanctuary. I want to give the sanctuary the eyes, the respect that it definitely deserves because of what it does, what it already has given me in such a short amount of time. I owe the world to the sanctuary because the sanctuary is
You sound like me in your living room talking about the sanctuary before you knew it existed.
yeah,
I literally said, I said, "This
yeah,
place is somewhere where, like, 6 people walk in or 5 people walk in," and I said, "It deserves so much more."
yeah. So right now, those are my two like current goals: is to make the sanctuary the best and to prove that I am the best, not just a character, not just in ring, but no matter what I do at the sanctuary. Uh, Longer term goals. Would love to travel. Would love to wrestle in different places, in different states, in different countries. I'd love to travel the world and wrestle. I'd love to be. Right now, I'm aspiring to be a professional wrestler. The goal is to be confident enough to say that I'm a professional wrestler, to actually have the proof and the backing that I am a professional wrestler.
And that's the thing right now at the sanctuary where for a while there hasn't really been the names that come out of the sanctuary who take pride in the sanctuary and keep flying that sanctuary banner. Just as of recently, we have the JF Hawthorns who are tearing it up all over the place. Right now, Jordan Palco was starting to, but unfortunately, he just got deployed. And the
Prince
Andre,
Ahmed,
Prince Ahmed's kind of he came
yeah,
into the sanctuary, but he's like I'm talking about people who are trained.
Andre Polino,
Andre Pauline, who he needs to get out there more because he's so goddamn good.
yeah,
But now your next generation, where Vincent is getting some work in some other places, and he's
Zach
going to
Sanders.
seminars. Zach Sanders doing the same thing, and then you and Crispy are kind of the next ones in line to now do that. I think people who've underestimated the sanctuary are seeing those names now on the scene and being like, oh, there's some work ethic here, and people are enjoying it. And now you're getting that crossover between other places that are like, well, we train here, but then we're also coming and getting work here at the sanctuary. And then now they're flying that sanctuary banner because they enjoy it as a place to work. There's a lot of positivity that's going to come out of that place, and I think all of us together are really going to make sanctuary a really powerful place in 2023.
It's
But
it's a difficult choice, and it's probably not the it's obviously not the smartest thing for me to do, but I'd like to be able to say that I did things my way. I would really like to not wrestle anywhere but the sanctuary. I understand that there's like off season there to where that hinders me from being able to have more opportunities to get my face out to network with other people. But I want to prove that I'm right. Okay? I want to prove that what I feel in my gut, because what I've felt in my gut, what I've felt inside since day one has brought me here and has gotten me to this opportunity and has proven to some people already that, oh, wow, he might have something here. Well, I want to keep doing that, but from the sanctuary. And that goes hand in hand with me wanting to prove that the sanctuary is the best place to do stunt fighting, to do professional wrestling. So I really would like to just wrestle at the sanctuary, but I understand that that's not smart. I understand that there's been other places that have maybe already seen who I am, maybe have interest in who I am, but we'll see on that. We'll see. I
it,
would I would like to wrestle the dude one on one. That's something just like immediately I would like whenever and wherever as soon as possible.
sanctuary first Friday sound like the place for that to happen. Um, well, let's close it out here, man. Anything we didn't talk about you want to get out there? Anything you want to tell the people?
Um there's probably some things. Support wrestling, support independent wrestling. Um, hmm, I don't know. I feel like there was some other wrestling that I wanted to say that maybe influenced who I am.
There's going to be a part two here. This is the introduction to Precious. You're definitely going to be on the podcast again. This is not a one and done deal.
Yeah, and you and I in general could talk for days.
Yeah, and I want to try to keep it to an hour. I don't want to flood people with and no more 2 hour podcasts. They get out of control.
Yeah, so if anything, I would just say stay tuned. Keep hopefully you subscribe here, you like here the Anthony Blackwell Jr. podcast. Then you go to all of my pages. Maybe I'll start a YouTube channel. I think I might already have a YouTube channel up, so I'll throw a link there. But follow me and yeah, be excited. That's all.
Awesome.
Be excited.
Well,
Be
thank you for your time. Thank you for jumping in short notice and coming in here and helping me get a guest. And we're closing in on guest number 10, which is super exciting. And guest number 10 is going to be someone who you see all over IWTV, someone you see all over the independent wrestling scene. And it's going to be my very first referee interview. It's going to be Ref Gina. She is such an inspiration as a human being. So that's coming next Tuesday. Come back here once again later on tonight at 8 o'clock for another interview. I should have probably put actually I could put the graphic up right now. I'll talk and I'll banter and I'll make it sound like I know what I'm doing. And while I'm uploading tonight's interview banner.
I could also banter for a little bit. And
Here it is. Tonight,
hey, good job.
episode 9, Lucas Finnegan will be on the show. I know 0 to nothing about this guy, so I'm coming in completely cold. All I know is that he wrestled last weekend at Shore Star Wrestling for the world title, and he was highly entertaining. We had a small conversation backstage, and he hit me up just today and said, I'd love to come on the podcast. So yeah, in the chat, you heard about McMahon is coming back to WE. He expressed interest. I don't think it's going to happen. I think
I got to take
Go ahead.
that I really enjoyed the way that Vince McMahon told stories.
I like the way it's going now. I'd like Vince to take a back seat.
I've got no issue with the way that it is now.
Yeah.
I really do like it. But I also really did like Vince McMahon's way of telling stories. But I'd like to keep seeing how Triple H tells stories on a main roster.
If Vince comes back, he definitely has to be a team player and let people do their roles. He can't be the end all be all.
Yeah, you can't just revert back, because then you run risks as a business of just messiness.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super excited to have him back. I'm just going to be completely honest, but that's just me. But yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in. Also, once again, if you are seeing this for the first time, like, share, subscribe. If you're listening to the auto platform, give me a follow on those platforms as well. I lost my thing above my head. There it is. We're back. If you can support, that'd be great. I have merchandise if you want to rock an ABJ podcast t-shirt. If you're a wrestler out there and you want to wear it to the ring, that'd be great. It's never been done before. Also, stickers are available. If you see me in public, please stop me. I have a whole bunch of stickers to give away. And if you can also support Adina and Philly Mike, big injuries. They're going to be on the show for a moment, and it's going to be tough for them to pay their bills because it's going to be hard for them to physically work. I know Mike probably won't be able to even walk for a couple months. So, and Adina can't do anything with her arm or her body for quite some time. So if you can support them by subscribing to their content services, as well as buying some merchandise in 8x10s, that'd be amazing. Support your independent wrestler, especially in their time of need, because they go out there and bust their ass to support you guys and to give you the best entertainment they could possibly do. We love you. We'll see you next time. We'll see you later on tonight for episode 9 of the ABJ podcast. Thank you, Precious, for your time, and we'll see you guys next time. Here's some Billy Trey, and we're out of here.